So thank you for coming out. I'm Trey Grisby. You can find me as Trey Waters on Twitter, and about anything you can find me as Trey Waters. I kind of use that everywhere because once you find one name, it's good to keep it. Just got to turn this thing on. So I have a question for everybody that's here today is, can you be a role model? Yes, you can. You probably already are a role model for somebody and didn't realize it. And if you're one of the few people doing what you're doing, then you are setting an example for somebody behind you. We really stand on the shoulder of giants in anything we do. And I like to remind people that if somebody can't see what they want to do being done, they're probably less likely to achieve it. So for me, I deal with government IT, specializing in infrastructure. And so I really want to slow down for a moment and explain what infrastructure is. So you've probably been camping. Has anybody not really been camping before? So when you're camping, you're out there having a good time, but then the camping trip is over. And you got to pack up the car, leave your spot, and head back to the city. Well, as you get back to the city, everything you get, those cell towers, the roads, that's all infrastructure. We expect it to be there, we expect it to work, and we kind of take it for granted. All those groups have board of directors, and I don't think really very many people get on them. So just let you know you can participate in your infrastructure. So growing up, I traveled up and down the East Coast, southeast, northeast. The racism in both places was different. I was a child, and for me, I felt the South let you know where you were supposed to be. Don't step out of line. Where the North I thought would be a lot better, but it really wasn't. They just hid it. They still had the same feelings and preconceptions, but they just didn't let you know until it was kind of too late. But I ended up in the Midwest in Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado. Went to college there, ended up staying there. Raised my beautiful daughter out there, 20 years in Colorado. It was wonderful. But as I was growing up, I also didn't see a lot of black programmers, black people in technology. I had a Commodore 64, or Commodore 128 in the 80s. I was a skateboarder back in the 80s when they were like, get out of here. I always wanted to get to California. And doing a lot of role-playing games too. So I was always out there just doing what I wanted to do and never had role models for them. I was kind of just out there doing my own thing. Well, it was time I had finished college, and it was time to dream big, stay positive, work hard, enjoy the journey. I tried to do entrepreneurism, selling websites in 2000, but unfortunately the market kind of went down, seriously. People were going bankrupt, and a lot of people with a lot more experience were out there doing stuff that I wanted to just step into. So I had to get a day job. It was time to actually go think about retirement, raise this child that I had with my first wife, and refocus. So I dumbed down my resume. Unfortunately, I had to because nobody understood what it was to be a programmer. So I was like, I type really well. I got in as a receptionist at the Fort Collins Love and Water District and South Fort Collins Sanitation District in my area. It covers a very large rural area. So we have 50 square miles that we would cover. About 3,000 customers, utility customers, and a lot of space to grow. And now it's grown even more in the 4 years that I've been here. But as that receptionist, I got to see a lot of things come across the desk. And I have to say that sometimes the opportunities that come at you don't look like what you envision, but you can reshape them to be what you need them to be. So for me, we had a vendor, Data West, that was providing our billing software. I had just got out of school 6 months prior. I knew SQL Server. And so I was like, oh God, I can totally help with this. And the vendor comes out, they upgrade the system. We started with a DOS. They weren't even using a mouse. It was kind of funny to me. I'm like, there's no mouse? I have to go back and up, down, tab, yada, yada. It was wild. But stepping in on that project, we got them from that billing system up to the new one. And the vendor comes out, they come out for like a week. The company I was working at didn't have anybody that knew IT, anybody that knew computers, anything, didn't even know what they had. And I'm like, oh my God, I know this, like back of my hand, boom, 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 doing it. And so when the vendor left, we had a lot of customization we need to do. Things were failing in production, they needed to get back up because it's a water utility. You want your water, you want it clean. So that was one project. Another project I went into was document imaging. We actually had to convert all our paper documents into a paperless system, so we went digital. We used a company called mFiles, or named mFiles, or product named mFiles. And that was an awesome project to spearhead, be on top of, hire people for. But I also ran into a mentor during that period. There's this gentleman, Bill West. He was great. I'm sitting there, you know, feeling hot as shit, doing what I'm doing, and I break something. And he was really funny because he come in, he's like, why are you hacking things all the time? I was so results oriented. I'm like, let's get this going, let's get it going now. That's what we do. He was very process oriented, and that was really good to pull from him. So documentation, all that stuff I really picked up from him. And it was nice to have somebody that I could he was a mentor for me, so somebody I could share and ask things about. We went and played pool, drank together. Not all the time, but when you play pool, sometimes you drink. And it was really nice to have somebody like me that I could relate to. So another major project we did, upgrade of our system, is when we read water meters in an area, it used to be go to the house, the techs would write down the number, go to another house, kind of like the mailman, boom, 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 house to house. Well, that's slow, right? So Census, which is in this area, they're from California, sold us a drive-by mapping system. Again, a project that I had to get because the bosses pay for it, and then they give it to you and say, here, make that work next week. And I'm like, sure. So that was really great because they drive through a system, pull up all the meter reads on that street, and keep going. So we went from like a week to read part of an area to reading the whole district in a week just by them driving around. Well, then they come back and sell us something else. They're like, if you strategically place this antenna in your system, you can suck all the reads in from all your entire district in a couple minutes. So it went from, you know, reading the district in like a month to reading it repeatedly in a day if we wanted to. But these were all really huge projects, and trying to translate what the vendor was telling my boss and why it wasn't working these were all challenges that were unique and really special. But I had done the water district for like 10 years at that point. It was like, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. I had been putting off projects that I really wanted to work on. And one of the projects for me was, I love the Matrix movies. I was a really big fan of the Matrix with Keanu Reeves. And I had all these notes, and I was a gamer as a youth, so I'm like, I'm gonna write up a role-playing game. So I did it. I got art. I got it edited. I did not buy a license, so it isn't for sale, but it's free to download. But once you write the game, it's like, great, I got this game. Who's gonna play? That's a real problem. And I was a single parent, so it's like, I can't really leave for a weekend. The conventions are once a year. And they're a heavy financial burden. I mean, it's a couple thousand to go to a convention. So I just said to myself, you know, I know computers. How about we just make a virtual convention? I mean, I already do like Skype and stuff with my friends. There's online or gamer communities with Google Plus or Facebook. We had video conferencing with things like Skype, Google Hangouts. And virtual tabletops were coming into inception for that purpose during that period. Worked actively with Roll20 in the first years of their development because of this convention. So we called it Let Us Game RPG Convention, LugCon. And my thought was, oh yeah, we're gonna do 4 in a year. It's online, iterate, come on. And it was cool. So the first one was like 12. We recorded them, put them on YouTube as a playlist, 12 games, that was great. Then the next one that we did in June was double that. It's like, okay, people are hearing about this, fun, more games. Then the third one doubled. It's like, oh boy, who's gonna help me with all this? And the final one doubled again, and I just had to bow out after that one because it was more work than I could sustain. I wasn't charging people for it. But the thing I always said throughout that year is if somebody else is doing this, then I don't have to. And so since then, there's continuing games every year, online role-playing conventions, a lot of the people I know, so it's really cool. But definitely be ready for success, because you never know what form it's gonna take. So when it was time to leave to come to Colorado, or come to California and leave Colorado, I had to really tie up some stuff with my company because there was a lot of things that I was just monkey patching together, just making work, that they had no clue how to sustain after I was gone. And I had streamlined their process that they'd have to hire a couple people to keep up with this. So I said, hey, how about I make a door hanger application for you, right? Little desktop application that you can use. And so when people get notified about their bills being late or whatever, it's called a door hanger kind of in the industry. And so I created that for them. And that was a real big step for me because I had always done like little bits of code and scripts and things here, but to actually write a full desktop application with logs and be able to support it was cool. And they're using it today, and actually just invoiced them not too long ago. So it was pretty sweet. And built another thing that was bigger was a water tap application base database. So when they sell water taps, anytime you do building, you have to tap it, or you have to buy taps for utilities. And so ours was water. Nobody's really written anything in the industry for this. And I knew the process already, so I was doing this again. So I wrote an application for them on this, and that was great. So I'm ready. I'm ready to come to California and be in Mecca, Silicon Valley. So as of today, I'm actually working at San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit. So probably everybody used it today, and I'm sure 400,000 other people used it too. BART is really great for the fact that it's a lot bigger than what I was at. We service like 50, or not service, we had like 50 employees at the Water and Sewer District. Here at BART, it's almost 3,000 employees, and then we're helping 500,000 people every day, pretty much. There's a lot of things going on, and it's really just awesome to be part of something so big and complex with lots of resources to buy new toys. That's pretty cool. But I have to say one thing, through all this, I learned to love my haters, because haters are gonna hate. And they really tell you stuff that your family and friends won't tell you. Now, I'm not saying bring on the hate at all, but it's just the idea that sometimes people that don't like you will just say something that it's like, oh, maybe I should improve this or improve that part of my program. But my philosophy throughout life is just love, live, laugh, enjoy yourself. Be the best possible you can be, and that's what I try and do for myself. Just be the best possible person I can be. So currently, projects that I'm looking at going forward, I was honored to be added as a board member of AYA. It's a new nonprofit that is introducing youth to American infrastructure. Really awesome, because I didn't realize how much background I have, 15 years in infrastructure. It's like, whoa, wow, that added up pretty quick. And I'm gonna help them with the tech portion of their curriculum, and it's really outreach for the next next employees and people that are gonna be working in infrastructure. Because a lot of the skills are transferable. People don't realize, they go to a vendor for a water meter or something like that, and they think, oh, they're the only ones that do it. But they use things like SCADA, which is just encrypted messages between two antennas, and so anybody could set that up. There's a lot of servers that need to be set up, backups, that kind of stuff. And that's just the tech side. Pouring concrete isn't specific to a water or sewer utility. So there's a lot of things that anybody can step into, and they can be educated about and transfer that in that industry. And we need infrastructure, always. A project that I'm doing more locally that I've been doing for over a year now is a Berkeley JavaScript Dojo. I'm totally into helping people code more JavaScript, anywhere, everywhere, but definitely in Berkeley. It's closer to me, and we just want to bring people down every month and code at whatever level, so we should definitely connect and chat. But that's my talk today. I thank all of you for coming out, and yeah, I'm honored.